All right,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the best podcast of all time, this one time at summer camp. Woohoo!
Whoop.
I am here with two of my greatest friends named Jeff and John. Say hello, Jeff and John.
Hello, Jeff and John.
How did I get here?
So,
Hi, Logan, as well.
God bless. Logan, I swear, if you're not listening, you're missing out. You get mentioned every week. So, guys, today it's just the three of us again. We don't have a guest this time, but that's all right. That's all right. So to my two fellow co-hosts, I have a great get to know you question that bears responsibility. If
Bears?
you were invisible for one day, what would you do with your newfound ability? I'll go first.
Okay, good.
Please do.
If I was invisible for one day, I would absolutely make a compilation video of scaring as many of my friends and family as I could and become an internet sensation, get on Ellen. That would be my 15 minutes of fame. That's what I would do. I would be so excited. I'm actually doing that without the invisible part already. I have a folder on my phone called Scaredy Cat, and it's all videos of me scaring my wife. Just really fun.
She
so
loves that.
rude.
Yeah.
It's really the funniest part is she has the same reaction every time. Every time I scare her, she'll scream, she'll lunge out to attack me, so I have to be at a safe distance, and then she yells "Why?" Every time. Every
Have
time.
you told her why? yet? Or
Why?
is she
No, I
still-
just laugh. I just laugh and stop recording.
All right, cool.
All right, who's
All right.
next?
Just got it.
I can go. Yeah, Did you introduce yourself and like say where you're from and all that?
He totally did not. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Well,
and
Who
do
are
that.
you?
Podcast listeners, in case you don't know who I am Aaron Colwick. I am a director of Children, Youth, and Family Ministries at Rejoice Lutheran and Grace Lutheran, former program director for Briarwood Retreat Center in Copper Canyon, Texas, and Camp Stoney in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Next.
All right. I'm Jeff Thompson. I'm the current program director at Lutherdale in Wisconsin and also worked at Sugar Creek in Wisconsin. If I was invisible for a day, what I would do is probably this would be very logistically difficult, but right now I'm a huge basketball fan and the NBA, all the teams are down in Orlando in the bubble. I would just sneak in because I want to know everything that's going on and just watch all the practices and be courtside right by the players, but no one can yell at me or stop me because I'm invisible. I would just watch the practices and just follow Giannis around because he's my favorite player and just follow him around all day.
Wait,
and
so
just fangirl over
all
him.
the teams are down in Orlando?
There are 22 of the 30 teams are in Orlando.
What? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
They're
That's crazy.
they're doing a quarantine thing and then they're playing in a little 8-game tournament basically to the playoffs, and then the top 16 teams will play in the playoffs. It's
That
crazy
is
what they're doing, but yeah, I would just
interesting.
go follow them around.
So wait, you said 22 of the 30. What happens to the other 8 teams? They just opted out?
They got stabbed.
No, they were all outside of range to make the playoffs.
Oh, gotcha.
So they were
They
only
had already-
playing 8 more games.
they had already
lost too
mathematically
many, and-
eliminated themselves.
yes,
Dear,
yes,
oh
and
dear.
one of them is the Minnesota Timberwolves, who I'm a fan
Oh.
of, and they're
Oh.
horrible.
They're
But-
not good. All right. Well,
It's
you know what?
okay.
At least our states have great professional sports teams. Anyways, John, why don't you go?
We have the Steelheads,
I'm sorry. The what?
the
The
best
what?
hockey team
Division F.
in Division F.
You might as
Thanks,
well be
Tara,
speaking
for the
open.
assist.
No, the Steelheads they go to the Dallas Stars. That's their
Oh,
full
so
team.
not a professional team.
Shut up.
All right, man. Why
Yeah,
don't you
and we
introduce-
don't want any, so
Oh,
stay
yeah.
away.
that?
No. Yes, thank you. My name is John. I am the former program director at Luther Heights Bible Camp in the beautiful state of Idaho. Oh, I currently work at a different place.
Why are we so secretive about your place of employment? I don't understand.
Because I want everybody to really wonder where I work.
All right, man.
That's a pretty low blow of you, John.
Yeah,
I wear a vest.
He's a Walmart greeter.
No, they wouldn't hire me. If I were invisible for a day, I would probably just go fishing.
John.
Because nobody could tell me not to. And
Okay.
I would sneak into all the best holes on private property.
There you go. So you'd fish it
Yeah.
where you're not allowed to fish.
Right,
Okay. It's not just fishing.
right.
Just imagine him just going to his favorite watering hole and just being like, yeah,
Where he always goes, yep.
this is
I was
different. The fish
invisible
have
for
no
a
idea
day.
what's coming.
I'd go out and sit in the lawn chair in my own yard
Oh my god.
and not get a suntan.
Good Lord, John. That is somehow you'd probably still get burnt, I'm assuming.
God.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your creative and very well thought out answers, John.
Thank you.
So today Jeff is bringing us our camp hack.
All right, yes. So my camp hack for the day. Oh god, I hit a button. All right, I'm good. I actually was talking to some of my summer staff about this earlier, because we had elementary campers on site for this half week, and they just had like a ton of energy, and these kids were just insane. So when I was a counselor, my first couple summers, I worked exclusively with elementary campers. That was my jam, and I found a really good way to burn off their energy. So what we would do is I would find just like an open field at camp. I would have my entire cabin of like 8, 9 boys line up, or if I had more kids, because I was supervising other people's kids, I'd line them all up, and I'd tell them we're going to do a relay. They're going to be timed.
Right.
And from the starting position where I was, I would throw the frisbee out. As soon as I threw it, they would run after it, grab it, and bring it back. And they'd go to the back of the line. They'd go through the entire village or cabin, and if the other people in line waiting weren't cheering, I wouldn't throw it. So I had to make them all like, you have to keep cheering and be involved. And we would just go through it, and we'd get done once. I'd be like, all right, your time was like 6.5 minutes. Do you guys think you can beat that? And they always would be like, yeah, we can crush it. So we'd do it again. And oftentimes we'd play like 3, 4 rounds.
Oh my
And
gosh.
like, I love this game because like the kids just got super into it. But I've had a few campers call me out, and my staff today, when I was explaining it, called me out because yes, I was playing fetch with my campers, just straight up, but I just timed it. So I love doing that. It works though. Like the kids get so into it, and they don't know that they're playing a game for dogs, but they totally are.
So I think part of like an addendum to your camp hack is you have to sell it. Like you can't literally just be like, hey man, go get it. You have to be like, all right, y'all, here we go.
And well, like that's why the cheering really helps, because if they're not cheering, like you're adding time, and you can almost like you have to keep them involved. Like it, adding the cheering and adding the time limit, and sometimes I'll tell them like, well, my cabin last week did it in 4 minutes. Like you guys are better than them, obviously. You kind of like make it so they want to be better than like the kids the week before or something like that.
What's the record, John? Or not John, Jeff. What's the record, Jeff?
Man, it's variable because sometimes I had 10 kids, sometimes I had 30 kids playing. Like,
gosh,
the record is, I have no idea, 3 minutes.
20 seconds.
20 seconds, one person.
Yeah, so that's my camp hack of the week.
I love it.
Oh man,
Thank you, Jeff.
I always say that learning how to gauge and direct kids' energy is 90% of your job at camp.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. Awesome. Thank you, Jeff, for that wonderful camp hack about how to properly utilize and redirect kids' energies to play fetch. All right.
John, do you need to go play some fetch? Do you have some energy built up?
Like I got a little bit.
He's like bouncing. It's all that spice from the jalapeno popper sitting in his
Oh,
belly.
gosh,
Yeah.
making me pop.
Oh, heavens. On that note, John, I believe it is time for this week's camp story. Regale us with your John.
No.
Okay, John, we're recording video now, so you can't put that like right in front of your face.
Oh, we are recording video.
We're trying to. We'll see how it works. No promises.
All right. Hey, everybody, this is my room.
It's very fuzzy.
That's
Nice
not
to
my
meet you,
room.
bud.
That's my living room. All right. So, on a more serious note, there's times when you're a program director or a full-time position at a camp that there's harder situations that come up, and we've talked a little bit about some of them. I've got another one here. Oh, I won't say when, but when I was a program director, I had a staff. We'd just gotten through a long week. High energy kids, waning and energy of staff, and they were ready for the weekend.
Cocaine bears.
Cocaine bears. It's just somebody ate 200 French toast sticks.
Sausages.
Oh,
There were
sausages.
sausages.
No, so it was the end of the week, and where our camp is located is out in the middle of nowhere. It is 30 minutes into town. It is very quiet and very dull compared to maybe the life of a college student in a college town in a dorm. And so sometimes when the weekend comes, you choose to let loose. And typically it's fine in whatever fashion you choose. I always say just make sure you're ready to start the week on Sunday. Whatever you have to do on the weekend, just make sure you are rested, full of energy, and you come prepared for the week at camp. So this following week, we actually had a hosted group on site. So we weren't leading camp. A lot of my staff were actually headed off to day camp. Some were staying on site to help with this hosted group. So some staff members decided to go off and drink. They head down to the lake and they start a fire. Not like a forest fire. They start a fire in a fire pit. I have to reiterate that.
What a plot twist.
And then they come back to camp fairly drunk. And the unfortunate thing about our camp is some of the staff quarters are actually above cabins where guests stay. We're very lucky to have staff quarters and very lucky to have these awesome cabins that they're located in. But it does cause situations like this every once in a while. Now, again, this situation happened once in my all 5 years of being a program director. So it's not like this happens all the time at camp. We work with college kids. I'm not that much older than some of them. We are still young, want to have fun and want to do crazy things, and our frontal lobes aren't always fully developed. Until you're 26.
Right.
Well, okay, so they go off, they decide to drink, and they come back to camp very drunk. And obviously their volume was heightened. Their noises walking up the stairs to their cabin were heightened. And all this goes on. I am asleep in my cabin on the other side of camp. I wake up in the morning and I have a hosted group coming to me just absolutely upset, but also concerned. This was a very great hosted group that cared about our camp deeply. But they were concerned because staff members had been up drinking, had been partying basically above their quarters. But one of the staff members had thrown up and had gotten very, very, very sick. And it just so happened that some of the people staying below were doctors and nurses and physicians. And so they ended up having to assist this person.
Oh no.
So I think I might leave it right there. I have a
Goodness.
so just kind of to go back now.
Oh my gosh.
Just to go back, I have staff who have just come off a crazy week at camp, and they wanted to let loose, and maybe let loose a little too much. Maybe did let loose a little too much, and with a hosted group on site, and a group that had been with us for a long time, and had built great relationships with us. What do I do in that situation?
I have a clarifying question.
Okay.
Does your week of camp end on a Friday or Saturday?
It ends on a Friday.
And did this event take on a Friday or Saturday?
It took on...
Or was it Friday night or Saturday night?
It was Friday night.
Okay.
The hosted group came in right after. They didn't have any campers, nothing like that. It was all their staff that was on site at that time.
Gotcha. Okay. Huh. All right.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a toughie.
I'll go first. Since Jeff normally takes the helm and gets it right on the first shot, I want to get it wrong before he gets it right. So I would, first of all, if I'm going to answer this as real as I can, I would profusely apologize to our guests. Knowing we have a relationship with them with the camp and saying not to make excuses. They're dumb kids. I'm so sorry this happened. Thank you so much for making sure my staff didn't die. Can you give me an update? Blah, blah, blah. I would then, first, I would go to that person who got super sick. It's hey, you genuinely need to apologize to these people and thank them for maybe saving you. And that has to happen. And asking the rental group when a good time that would not be inconvenient for them to do that would be. And if they really didn't want it, then that's fine. Then I'd probably have to go dad mode and get the group together and be cool. So we talked about this, about you have your off time and stuff, but just never forget, once you started working here, you're always a representative of this camp, and your actions are forever viewed as an association with this. When you go shop for your groceries at Walmart, if one kid recognizes you, you represent that camp. And the actions that you took, do you think they offered a good representation of what our camp stands for? And if any of them said yes, I'd be cool, you're gone. But most of them are probably going to say no and be great. So what are you going to do to fix how you've tarnished our reputation? And let them problem solve that and understand the gravity of their situation. Like I said, if drinking is allowed and stuff like that, then they made a bad mistake. Hopefully learn their lesson. I don't think there's necessarily anything to go too far as repercussions. There might be a probation kind of thing of hey, if this happens again, you're gone. But I would probably leave it to there and kind of go from that point and see what happens. I think that's where I'd leave it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aaron.
Welcome.
Yeah. The crazy thing is I feel this happens at a lot of camps. John, how you set it up, we deal with college kids, they let loose.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's also my favorite part of the job is working with these kids. Yeah.
Oh, I hate it. I hate people.
I'll add I want to add something to what you just said, John. I've said this for years to a whole bunch of people. If you want to talk about us three worked in church camp, at least. If you want to talk about the greatest form of young adult ministry that exists, dude, it's summer camp, camp counselors. How many of them go into some sort of ministry field or work in some sort of leadership position. Like, come on.
Oh, yeah. No,
Mhm.
I have a lot of pride in my past staff that are either current like camp directors. There's some of them that are program directors, um, or those that have like gone on and become youth directors or other like leadership positions in the church and outside of it. Like, I have a lot of pride in them because of their formation at camp. I'm not taking credit because I probably didn't do much, but
No,
I'm proud of them for
them Little
that.
Jeffs.
Oh, thanks. They probably don't like that.
Little Jeffs.
But yeah, as I was saying, this is the hard part is like we see this almost too often. So for me, and when I'm a program director, I'm very open with my staff, and I have a hard line that if you need to go off site and de-stress and do whatever, that's fine, but keep it off site. My hard line is when you're coming back to camp and bringing it here. That's where I have issues. So I know, like John, you set up like you're 30 minutes from anywhere. You're in the middle of nowhere. It's a little harder probably to do that. Sugar Creek was also in the middle of nowhere. I saw too many times that people would come to camp intoxicated. Like it happened.
Mhm.
So I think what I would do, and this is something that I saw happen, and actually someone that both John and I know, I'll say his name, Mr. Iverson. He's the one that did this and demonstrated the response for me, Dick Iverson.
Logan
Nice.
Iverson.
Logan Iverson, no. Richard. He did this to a staff member when I was on summer staff, a similar-ish situation. But I think I would, like I said, apologize to that group right away and just like let them know that you're going to take care of it. You appreciate all of their help in this situation and that it won't happen again. And just do everything I can to make it right and just like go out of my way to make the rest of their stay perfect. I would then find that staff member and with another person, like sit them down and have a conversation. I'd start out be like, hey, can I just pray for you? Let me just start there and open it up with that. And then just kind of talk to them about it and like, let them know that yes, like letting loose, we all do it. We all have the stress and we all have ways of coping with it. But like the behavior you showed last night is not a healthy way to do it. And letting them know that kind of like, I care about you and I want the best for you. But with this type of behavior, I can't have you at camp. And in a really hard way, like working through it with them, having that conversation about, I want you to be okay. I want you to be in a place that you can be here. And if this is how you're going to have to act, I don't see you being able to do it. I don't see you being able to stay here all summer if you need to do this at the end of every week. Yeah. That's not a sustainable coping mechanism. So I'd ask that person to leave. And I would basically tell them, like, this is the end of your time here. But one of the things about working at a religious camp is, like, we all work a lot of grace and we work a lot in forgiveness. So even if it's a week at home or 2 weeks, like, I wouldn't say you can never come back. I'd make it know, like, I want you back. I want you a part of this community. But I want you to take some time to go home and figure it out and figure out what you can do to be able to be here and de-stress on weekends. That's a non-destructive behavior to the other community of staff, to our guests, and all of that. But yeah, that's a very long-winded answer of what I would do. But like I said, I've experienced this. I've seen this happen. So
see what I mean? Like, that's why I went first. That's a way better answer. I love that.
So I think that's great that you brought up a role model that you had with that situation. I was very fortunate enough to have a former executive director of mine there to help handle that situation. And he is somebody who, and you spoke about it, grace. He has shown me probably way too much grace than I deserve.
I don't think you ever misbehaved while you were at camp. That doesn't seem like you, John.
I was an angel.
Yeah.
And Eric, if you're listening to this, you know I'm an angel. He was the epitome of what grace is and how to show it. And I think he definitely, he was also that person that could sit somebody down, have that serious conversation and say, hey, that was not great at all. You really screwed up. How are we going to move forward through this? And so that's what he did. So I really, in this situation, didn't do much. I was very angry when it first came up. Absolutely
I would have been
livid.
too.
But having that mentor there was huge for me and for the staff member as well, because we didn't end up letting them go. They stayed on, and they continued to flourish throughout the summer. But you know, it was a big part of saying, hey, you did this, you screwed up. How are we going to move forward? And the things that we did to move forward was rebuilding relationship, because that's big when it comes to camp.
Yeah.
Especially with hosted groups that come in to just use our site, and they kind of see us a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
We do the dishes and throw up in the garbage can outside. But really, it's huge about relationship and the hospitality that we can show this group, and reiterating that with the staff members, what happened. But then moving on from it was huge too, and growing from that. A lot of what Jeff said, I heard those words in Eric's voice is, you know, we need to create a healthy community here. We need to create a space where love and acceptance and the word of Christ can be shown and lived while here. And we can't do that if we're living in a way that doesn't promote that. And I think you and I would both agree that this doesn't promote the message that we're trying to reach here at camp.
Right.
And on another note, I mean, in no way do I want to throw this person under the bus for this situation. I think it was an off moment for them. I think they grew a lot from it as well. But I think everybody also grew from it, because they got to see grace in action through another person, grace in action through their leadership at camp. It really set up for me how I led staff from then on out.
Right.
Just showing that grace and continually saying, okay, well, we made this decision. How are we going to move forward from this? What's the next step?
Well, and I hope that everyone who's listening understands, like, it's kind of like we were talking about. You are in charge of kids who are fresh adults trying to figure out how to be adults and not knowing certain limitations, right? I know very few people who knew how to drink the first time they drank, right? Like, and you, wherever your stance is on drinking and alcohol, that's where it is. And so as someone who is in charge of not only their professionalism, but honestly, you're kind of teaching them some life skills and some life development by showing them grace and forgiveness and maybe a stern hand, and like, hey, there's going to be repercussions, but here's how I want you to be better. Oh my gosh, the growth that can come from that is enormous. Not only speaking from just program directors, but like as a staff member who like screwed up and like had executive directors and program directors who were like, hey, you can't do that, man. Like, you got to get your act together, and be like, oh, my bad. And it could be something as simple as like making the counselor's attention about them when they're leading a game, you know, something as simple as that, and saying like, hey, I need you to understand why that's not what we're supposed to be doing. And that goes for religious or non-religious, right? You are an amazing, we used to teach at our camp, like it with the campers, or for the counselors of the campers, you're in loco parentis, right? You are acting as the parent. And I would tell them that's what we as leadership staff, as like directors, are doing for our counselors. We are kind of your moms and dads for the week or for the summer. And sometimes you're really not going to like us.
Oh,
but I promise you, there's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really agree with that, Aaron. And like, we've all made mistakes. Like all three of us here, even talking, like, I remember conversations. My program director sat down with me and told me what I needed to improve on, like where I messed up. And like, we don't get better until we have those conversations. And I don't, like John said, I don't want this person to feel like we're calling them out for making a mistake. We all mess up. And in a way, we get to be better leaders because of it. We get that grace and forgiveness from those that we're working with. and we get to improve and do better. And then when this happens and you're the supervisor, then you can relate to them and you can kind of tame your anger and frustration a little bit and go at it with a gentle heart and be like, hey, I get it. You messed up. We all do. Now let's work through it.
Right.
Like, none of us are perfect.
Yeah,
Preach.
absolutely. And for any parents and campers that are listening that, like me, look up to that staff member like they were a god, and to hear that this story might be happening at your camp. Remember, yes, we are all human.
It's like the first time you see your teacher in real life, like at the grocery store, like, you eat?
Right.
You shop? That's weird. Awesome.
Yeah. No, it's tough being a leader. And it's tough being a leader in a community where I think we're looked to follow certain guidelines and certain things to a T. And so when we do mess up, it can be a tendency to kind of blow that bigger. Like, oh, but you're a camp counselor. You're not even supposed to know how to spell alcohol. You should never even let those words grace your lips. No, it can be really hard as a leader in the church period to screw up. Yeah. But I think it can be a huge teaching moment for the community to remember grace, remember why you're all there, and to keep the focus on the mission.
Amen. Hey, thank you, John, for that awesome story.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
That was incredible. Well, guys, and
that was deep stuff. That was heavy.
That's good. I love it. See, one time at summer camp is getting real. So guys, if you want to submit a story for us to be able to tell on this podcast, you can email us at this #1time@summercamp@gmail.com. You can also send us a Facebook message, just make a post, whatever you want to do. If you want to be a guest on here, we've got a list, of people that want to be on here. If you want to be on that list, I don't think we've told anybody no yet. And so if you want to be on the podcast, this is your shot at not fame. And so here you go.
We let Jeff in, so you have great chances of being let in.
Yeah, it's definitely a low bar.
And if you have any current situations, I think that are tough, like that one with mine, and you want to hear from our listeners or from us, definitely send your questions and your concerns to us, and we'll bring it up on the show and try to get the community behind you, because that's what we're here for as well. Not
to mention, if you're a guest, you get a sticker designed for you. I'm up to 2. I still need to make Sam's sticker, but I've gotten 2 stickers. I made the camp goggles and then the twin spiders with the rap battle tie. So I'm really proud of them. It's so ridiculous. All right, guys. I hope you have a fantastic time. Assuming this video goes up, you can actually see our beautiful faces.
Yeah.
And laugh at us. If not, then we'll figure it out one day. But anyways, thank you, John. So anyway,
make sure you also
comments?
Make sure you give us a like on your platform. I was checking on Apple Podcasts the other day, and we have 2 reviews and 7 or 8 ratings. Which they're all 5 stars and they're all great. We want to hear from you. Let us know how we're doing. Give us some reviews and ratings. Ideally 5 stars. Keep that up. But tell us how we are. We want to improve. If we're maybe email us if we're doing horrible, so you don't hurt our feelings that bad.
Let us respond to your critique before you make it public.
Yes.
Or just full blast us on Facebook, whatever.
That's fine too. Call us out.
So I have to say,
give us some rating, reviews, likes, tell your friends about it, all that good stuff.
Yeah, man, for sure, share it. We're just a goofy little group just telling fun stories. I will say, if you're like me and listen to your podcast on Spotify, there's not really a way to rate your podcasts. So I will say that. If
then just tell your friends about us.
Yeah, then you have to refer us to 5 people. That's the trade-off. So, anyways, guys, any closing comments?
That's all I had.
John, any words of wisdom?
How your jalapeno poppers doing?
Change your underwear.
Change your underwear, ladies and gentlemen. And that is from John Davidson. Have a good night. Say good night, y'all.
Good night.
Good night, y'all.
Y'all.
Peace out.